Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the last IT podcast in the world where we banter about life in corporate IT, tech in general, business, leadership, and anything else we want to talk about, as you will see in our banter segment. Sponsored by Alt CIO Consulting, I'm David Wheat. He's Darrick Johnson. Hi, Darrick.
Hi.
Last episode, as you know, we tried rage marketing, wherein I took a stance on Oreos. So that leads us to the pod cap of the episode. I wear a different hat every time. Please, I'll be right back. There we go. There's
what?
Now, I bought this on the internet, so I'm sure it's officially licensed from @Nabisco.
So they're not a sponsor yet.
They probably are knocking on the door pretty soon, but now, Darrick, I want you to look carefully at this hat and describe to our listeners, to tell the listeners what I'm wearing.
So it's a Oreo hat, but it's not it's a black hat, but the Oreo is golden.
Yeah.
Per our conversation last week.
If you look closely and describe to the users, it's both golden and black.
Oh yeah, because of the background.
So this is my peace offering to all the people I offended with my rage marketing last time. This is like that song by Michael Jackson and Sir Paul McCartney. We've got golden Oreo and regular Oreo living in perfect harmony on my hat. I mean, come on, people. I'm apologizing for all the offense I did trying to market my business. By the way, this is a dad hat. It's just I'm sort of a structured trucker hat guy.
Yeah, I'm New Era 3930. It's got to be that, or it's not going to work. Yeah.
New Era 3930, down to the number. This is like a Richardson something. All right, good to know. Anyway, podcast of the episode, the golden Oreo hat plus the regular Oreo hat, bringing our society together through these difficult times. Oh, in related news, the golden Oreo package I showed last time, you can hear it, completely empty. And it has been for a while. I've been hanging on to this, so...
So the marketing materials about serving sizes not holding up. It's
not for me.
Yeah.
Not when it's golden. When it's regular Oreos, serving size equals 0. But see, no. Back to kumbaya, please, everyone. All right, let's get into it. Hey, we've got some good stuff on the podcast today. We're going to do a segment on stuff I saw on LinkedIn. That should be fun. Mm-hmm. LinkedIn's always got some good stuff. And we are going to have a raging, maybe, debate that's common in IT. I'm not going to tell you what it's about, but the big idea segment is a classic ongoing debate. Will be debated till the end of time. We'll cover that in the big idea segment. Plus, super excited about the world premiere. Yeah, you heard me. The world premiere of new bumper music for the big idea segment.
Ooh.
Yeah, my son Daniel has polished off that bumper segment music, and I'm in love with it. Again, a reminder, his music can be found on Instagram at Daniel Wheat Music. So stick around for the big idea segment and enjoy that bumper music, which is awesome, I guarantee. Hey, before we get into some of that stuff, Darrick, did you perchance do any experimentation with Car F and your adaptive
No, I did
control?
not. I feel like a bad IT person that I didn't immediately go try that.
It's more that you're a chicken, I think.
That's probably true. Yeah.
I realized later, maybe everybody breaks but me.
It's an experiment that you've got to be very careful with, right? Like,
yeah, I mean,
so that the failure is not catastrophic.
Exactly. All right. Well, when you get a chance. Hey, before we get started, Darrick, if you could check our patent pending podcast @mention console to make sure that technology is working. Our mentions are going out from our voice to the world.
Yeah, it looks like it's working pretty good. Okay. Apps are flowing. Notifications are being sent.
Let's do a test. I'll repeat my @Nabisco. You seeing that on the console? Is it getting broadcast?
Yep. We got that.
Perfect. Yeah, the reason I'm asking, appreciate that. And by the way, is there a legal requirement to say patent pending that you know of?
Not that I know of.
Okay, patent pending, our podcast @mention console is working. That's important because, as you know, on last episode, I mentioned Ryan Reynolds a couple times. And also in our LinkedIn post dropping our episode, I added Ryan. He's on LinkedIn.
Ooh, okay.
And I've
always looking for job opportunities, I'm sure.
His profile is a great read. I recommend people go check it out. But I'm a little disappointed because I didn't hear back from Ryan. So that's why I wanted to check the @mentions. I wanted to make sure there was no barrier there. And probably the reason is like, I don't know if I'm not good at name dropping, but I'm kind of tight with Ryan Reynolds. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. I'm
Yeah.
surprised you haven't told me this before.
Must have slipped my mind.
Mm.
But I've got him. I'll show you. I've got him in my contacts. Can you see that?
Ooh. Yes,
So
sir. It's got his picture and everything. Famous
yeah,
actor.
yeah. It's got his
Did he
picture.
put it in your phone that way with famous actor or?
Yeah, if you know him, he's got a wry sense of humor. And by the way, there's a New York City number. That's where he lives.
Okay.
So we're on a contact name basis. So which is why I thought I'd hear back from him
Yeah,
with my mentions.
that's pretty close. So you guys talk often?
Uh, you seem doubtful. A little bit of skepticism in your voice there. You
I
don't
mean,
think that?
it's a surprise, I guess, that
Hmm?
haven't
Yeah,
heard about this, and
I don't seem
just
like the kind of guy that would pal around with.
I'm
Be
just
on a.
not sure that your circles would overlap that much.
What if I told you that he considers us like family, me like
Really,
family? Yeah,
really,
yeah.
wow,
In fact, he's even said I can come over for the holidays. It's up to me.
wow.
That seems like a sarcastic wow.
I'm a little stunned.
Okay. Well, what is? Do you see this?
I see a voicemail transcribed
From? Tell him who
from
it's
Ryan
from.
Reynolds, famous actor.
Yeah. Okay. I'll play it for you. You ready?
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds, owner of Mint Mobile. I want to leave you this voicemail to welcome you to the Mint family.
Mm?
The temporary family.
Family.
I know this is just a 7-day trial for you, but you're like a second cousin to the family.
So you're like a 7-day trial.
Twice removed. I always get those two confused. Either way, you're always welcome at the holidays, right? I guess. I don't know. The metaphor's just gone a little.
Yeah. They don't need to listen to the rest, but like.
Oh, okay. So
Exact quote. You're always welcome at the holidays. So you can see why I'm a little disappointed that Ryan's ghosted me on my app mentions and things like that.
yeah,
But
that's frustrating. I'm sure.
I'm just going to put this out, make sure the console's working at Ryan Reynolds. The reason we're reaching out is we're going to have a first guest on this podcast one time. We get to have that one time only. First guest is one time.
It should be him if he's family.
Yeah. I mean, nobody remembers who comes second on the podcast on our Wikipedia page. So anyway,
True.
if you can get back to me, I'd appreciate it. Appreciate the voicemail. Appreciate the invite to the holidays. I'll be having my people call your people and definitely swing by. But get back to me, would you, please? All right, Darrick, let's pivot to some podcast business. As you know, on the podcast, when it goes out, the various hosting profiles, that's Apple, Spotify, Google, whatever, you get data back on them. And we've got a graph about some of our listeners that we're going to sort of talk through and sort of figure out maybe a marketing strategy from that. So I don't know, do you want to describe the graph to the people who it's not on video or audio.
Yeah. So we've got 9% of our listeners, we got no listeners under 27 years old. So we've got which I know is false because I know of an 8-year-old that has at least tried to listen to it for a couple minutes.
Tried.
Who was very excited her dad was doing a podcast and probably somewhat disappointed by the subject matter. But yeah, so we have 9% of our listeners are 28 to 34. 45% are 35 to 44. Big surge there.
Yep.
Nobody 45 to 59. A little disappointed. I feel like IT should do well in that demographic.
Yep.
But we're really strong 45% in the 60 to 150 age range.
Interesting unit of measure along their x-axis there.
Yeah.
So half of our listeners, to just repeat what you said, 60 to 150 years old. It literally says on the graph, 60-150.
Yeah, that's a interesting age cutoff there.
I think I need some marketing help on knowing why we're so strong with the potentially, this could be a true statement, 149-year-old citizens.
I would have to say IT's got to be a very interesting subject if you're 150 years old. I mean, the progression that you've seen in IT since 1880.
Just after the Civil War.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be awesome.
Yeah, so I found it and by the way, this is a little bit of hashtag bad IT, but why not just say 60 plus? Why do 60 to 150. That seems like
Because
a
I
bad
get
idea.
that. You've got to make an arbitrary cutoff somewhere, and you don't want anybody to be left out. But
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised you didn't split it either. Like 60 to 80, 80 plus seems like an interesting.
Right. So we're really great with the geriatric crowd, 45 to 59 strong, zero, I mean, opposite of strong. And we need some marketing help on the under age 28 for sure.
Yeah,
Nobody's
for sure.
listening to us. So I'm gonna get a marketing consultant on that. Okay. All right. That's the podcast business and the opening banter segment. We'll be back with stuff I saw on LinkedIn right after the short break. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast, and we're going to talk about stuff I saw on LinkedIn. There's a lot of stuff on LinkedIn, Darrick. I don't know. Are you on LinkedIn a lot? Do you use it much?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we have to remind ourselves it is a social media platform. You know, there's people posting things that aren't business related, whatever. There's a lot on there. But you can see some interesting stuff. And by interesting, I mean puzzling. And by puzzling, I mean questionable. So this I found this on LinkedIn. I'm going to go through it with you. This is travel tips for productivity. I'll get into it in a little bit. This person, by the way, is not an IT person. I've looked at their profile. There's nothing. This is not your trusted IT professional, but
Which will soon become apparent.
Maybe. I don't know. There's probably people that agree with his approach. I'm going to have we'll have a difference of opinion later, but and I'll get started on it. But this person is more like a high level consultant, strategic, profitability, revenue streams, all that stuff. He posted this LinkedIn post that caught my eye, stuff I saw on LinkedIn, thus name the segment. So I'll go through it. 5 tips for travel productivity. Okay. Productivity. Keep that word in mind, always in the front. I'm often at my most productive when I'm on the road. Sure, maybe you're away from the office. It doesn't matter if it is in the airline lounge, on the plane, or in a hotel room using the bathroom lighting to frame my face just right for the Zoom meeting. I get lots of, I'm going to need help with this word, Darrick. I'm not familiar with the spelling. SH_T.
That is not the punctuation mark I would have used for that. But
SH_T done. I get lots of SH_T done when I'm traveling. It must be some new spelling they're teaching.
Yeah.
I think this must be pronounced Shampersandt.
Shampersandt done.
I get lots of Shampersandt done when I travel. Okay, fine. Okay, so here we go. Here's his productivity tips while you're traveling. Here's 5 of my #travel, #productivity hacks for #CEOs and those who work with them. So C-level, upper management. Tip 1, use 2 computers, a VPN, and your own router.
That's
I thought it would have been like something different for tip 1. Let's read more, shall we? Yeah, I know what you're thinking. I bet he doesn't. Carrying 2 computers is a hassle, especially with airport security. Well, I'm assuming you aren't an amateur and you have TSA pre-check, global entry clear, and every other option for breezing through security. So snarky.
That's a little demeaning, yeah.
But they're CEOs, so I'm sure they have
CEOs, so they travel a lot. Okay.
By the way, I wasn't aware that TSA pre-check made your 2 laptops weigh as much as 1 laptop. I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't think there was a weight lift. I've still seen them have to take computers out sometimes depending on the airport too.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so let's keep going.
Okay.
I use a MacBook Air exclusively for Zoom and video. I don't email from it. I don't save documents on it. I don't have any secure information on it. The reason I dedicate 1 computer for Zoom is because I don't use a VPN with it. It slows down Zoom and can often cause it to crash. So computer 1 is a MacBook Air that only has 1 application on it. Zoom. 2. No, 1 Zoom.
So why is his most expensive laptop doing this very mundane task?
Once again with the excellent questions, Darrick. let's check out maybe second computer will answer. My second computer is a super cheap Acer PC.
An Acer.
I use it for documents and email and all other work. I use an active VPN and a firewall along with my own router at all times to protect me in airport lounges and on hotel Wi-Fi networks. End of tip 1. That's it. That's the productivity tip number 1 out of 5. He had 5. He used one of his 5 bullets for carry 2 computers.
I want to see this guy at the airport with his array of hardware, 2 laptops, router. Nobody can sit next to him for 3 seats.
Now, there may be people listening to this podcast that have read all the nightmare stories and believe all the things they say about everything he mentioned here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about how we travel. IT professional, 2 on the call.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I travel with 50% fewer laptops than this guy.
And 100% fewer routers? Because, by the way, one security risk of travel is leaving a laptop in an unsecured location, which I would think carrying 2 would significantly increase your odds of a physical security breach like that.
Yeah, but if he loses his MacBook Air that just has Zoom on it, he's like, I'm not even worried about it.
$3,000 worth of hardware. No big deal.
Exactly. So let's put, like, I've got some very good connections and friends that, bless them, are also very security paranoid.
Mm-hmm.
And so this might be somewhat offensive of what I'm about to say, but this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. First of all, I travel with one laptop and I use public Wi-Fi all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Starbucks, check. United Airlines or Southwest, yes, if I need to do work and I want to pay the $8.
Right.
I use airport Wi-Fi. I use Marriott Hi-Fi. I use Hilton Wi-Fi all the time. By the way, that's public Wi-Fi. When they say don't use public Wi-Fi, that's what they mean.
Right. It's all of it.
Yeah, it's all of it. Do you know why they say not to use public Wi-Fi?
I guess people could see your traffic.
That's what they think. So this guy also has a podcast that he does every day. By the way, #respect to this guy who also does a daily podcast.
Wow.
I mean, yeah. We're going to quibble on your travel productivity tip for CEOs here, but your daily podcast, respect. So I caught someone on his podcast saying this. If you're on public Wi-Fi, if that Wi-Fi is not properly protected, any other individual who's on that same network can potentially be spying on your communications or even intercepting and changing the communications that are occurring between your computer and your bank's website or whatever it is you're doing. To which I say, no, they can't.
Who does
they
he
could
bank
10 years
with?
ago. They can't anymore.
Yeah. Those HTTPS exists for a reason.
Yeah. And that's where I'm going to go. So back in the day, websites started with HTTP : whack. That's what we say in IT for forward slashes, website address. And now 90% of websites, including alt CIOs, have HTTPS. Explain to people in layman's terms what the S is doing, Darrick.
Secure.
It's encrypting.
It's encrypting traffic. So
it's encrypting all the traffic from your browser to that HTTPS website. And I mean strong encryption, 256-bit typically encryption.
So a random guy in a hoodie at your Starbucks is not sniffing your packets on the way to the bank.
There we are with our packet sniffing again. That's twice on our episode. Yeah, they're not sniffing your packets, which, as we all agree, is a very uncomfortable moment when people do that.
100%.
Yeah. So first of all, again, and someone's going to quibble with me and find some scenario. By the way, all of your traffic to and from Microsoft, if you're a Microsoft O365 email, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, all of that traffic is also encrypted. Pretty much everything you do on your computer these days that leaves your computer, as long as it's an HTTPS site or Microsoft or just about anything else, is strong encryption. People might be able to see what websites you go to, maybe like they went to Google or they went to your bank. maybe, and that's even debatable. They can't see anything else, even if they. And again, we're talking about mid-grade and lower hackers. We're not talking about nation state. If Russia and China wants your data, they have it.
Right.
But that's not what.
And if you're doing a job that Russia and China want your data, I don't want it on a super cheap Acer PC anyway.
All different rules apply. I'm glad you brought up that point. Like if you're dealing with if you're a Department of Defense contractor, some of the things I'm saying would be different.
Right.
I'm talking about normal people doing normal corporate jobs on corporate laptops, even if it's HR or whatever. Like your data is encrypted. It's called a man-in-the-middle attack, where people sort of make you log into a thing and then they sniff everything and take it.
Mm-hmm.
They can't see anything. But you can't. By the way, guess where you find articles that say this isn't true? On companies that sell VPN technology.
Huh.
Yeah, weird. So I'd say this: if you're just a normal, regular user, strategic plans, whatever, moderately sensitive data, you don't need a VPN for security. You certainly don't need your own router. It's not the Wi-Fi that's secure; it's the stuff we're sending through it from our computers to HTTPS encrypted websites, or Microsoft, or anything else that's so tightly encrypted that, for the most part, you don't have a risk.
Right.
And by the way, like 90% of all websites in the world are HTTPS by now. Now, let me tell you a couple of things, caveats. Anytime you connect to something and it says, hey, download this app onto your computer in order to connect to Wi-Fi, I wouldn't do that.
Right.
I would but that doesn't happen. You just connect and you're in. I stay up to date with all the updates on my phone and my computer. Don't be 2 or 3. Don't be running Windows XP and going to the coffee shop.
Which this cheap Acer might be, by the way.
Yeah, maybe. I don't download apps like that when I'm on the road that I don't need. And when in doubt, I hotspot from my @Mint Mobile phone that @Ryan Reynolds sold me with his cool marketing.
Yeah, your family.
Because he's like family. I felt an obligation to go with Mint Mobile. If you want a hotspot from your phone, fine. But sometimes, disrespect to @Mint Mobile, you don't have good signal, so you connect to Wi-Fi.
Yeah. By the way, I saw a video of an actual travel threat that I think is far more serious than that, is public charging stations that use USB, because there you're plugging your PC into a USB drive that is also a data transfer drive. That's an opportunity that would be a lot more risky than the 2 laptop scenarios protecting you from.
I agree. It would be more. There's some debate about that, especially on phones, because phones 10 years ago didn't prompt. There's always a block on phones.
Right.
So some of it's old news. Just buddy breathe off of your laptop, plug it in, charge. Down goes your laptop battery, up goes your phone battery, and ignore the charging banks. That's fine. By the way, just to round up what this guy, also on the podcast, he said this. He said, this is how he knows he needs a VPN. Ready, Darrick? This is how he knows. Okay. Have you ever been on an airplane and you open your Bluetooth, or you click on the Wi-Fi and you see Joe's iPhone pop up, some other guy's iPhone pop up as an option? That's why you need a VPN. Because people's hotspots broadcast. Because if Joe's iPhone is popping up, you can be beep, Shampersandt, sure, your computer is going to pop up there too. So, oh man, that is for me. That is the absolute scariest thing.
Oh gosh.
Because I don't have time to go into that, but
there's usually a lot of overlap between ignorance and fear. And it's easy just to be scared.
Yeah. What I find is these things which were true 5 or 10 years ago, even maybe, that are no longer true. They just have their own inertia. They have their own second wind. People just believe them.
Yeah.
And they're scared about things. But so that's some Shampersandt that I saw on LinkedIn. Get your trusted security advice from a trusted IT professional who can help you have both security. By the way, I take security very seriously, but you engineer it in a way that it's no hassle for everybody, like to the 2 computers, router, et cetera, hassle. Just
because you're making life hard for yourself doesn't make your life secure.
Exactly right. It feels good, but and I'd be happy to show companies how to be secure and not carry 2 laptops and a router. Happy to. All right. Hey, that's Shampersandt I saw on LinkedIn. Coming up after this break is the Big Idea segment, which means the world premiere of the bumper music, which is happening now. And hope you enjoy it. And we'll be back on the other side.
Time for the segment called The Big Idea. The Big Idea. The Big Idea. Serious topic, but we'll still have fun. We'll still have fun with the big idea. Better IT, hands in the air cause we like IT, that's great. I'm not a famous rapper, but I can help you with technology. I can show you how to pick software, I can show you how to be secure. I can take apart your broken stuff and then put it back together much better. Alt-CIO makes your IT rock, your IT rock, your IT rock. Time for the segment called The Big Idea. The Big Idea. The Big Idea.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you got to listen to that new bumper segment music, helped along with my son, Daniel Wheat, who did all of the instruments, guitar, trumpet, keyboards, vocals, everything. And I am in love with that song. Love it so much. And by the way, Darrick, truer words were never spoken about me. I'm not a famous rapper, but I can help you with technology. I think we'd all agree that I am not a famous rapper. I do know Ryan Reynolds at Ryan.
But still
Reynolds.
not a famous rapper.
No, but not from the rap genre.
It's great.
All right, so the big idea. We're going to have the classic debate we talked about. By the way, tonight there is another debate being broadcast, but this is the debate people want right here.
Right here.
The classic concept that maybe people haven't heard about, some IT folk would have, which is like build versus buy. So you take it away. You just frame for people what that means if you were at the IT conference, someone said, well, it's the old build versus buy debate. We'd all know what that meant, but what does it mean?
Yeah, so I'm biased because I build software for a living, but it's a decision of if you have a problem that you want to solve with IT as an IT leader, do you want to buy off the shelf software that does this, or do you feel that you need to build your own solution that's tailored to your business, to your vertical market, that does exactly what you want it to do? And it's a tough call. There's pros and cons. Like I said, I'm biased. I build software. I build custom software. So I think a lot of times it's a good call to build. It's not always a good call to build, though.
Right.
Because
I'm a builder. I mean, sorry, you're a builder. I'm a buyer. I was a coder a long time ago, but I'm a buyer. And by the way, all companies have a mix of built and bought, but it's a matter of kind of degrees and percentage. We'll talk about that. And so, like you said, anytime you're facing a business problem, there's sort of this fork in the road. Should I buy a pre-built, off the market, sometimes called COTS, commercial off-the-shelf software solution to solve my problem? Or should I build it? Should I have either my developers or hire a development company to build something for it? And it's not just easy. It's not one answer all the time.
right.
And like you said, you make your kid's future orthodontia in college depends on people occasionally choosing build.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's, one thing that you find is what you're dealing with so specific to your industry, specific to your needs, that if you buy something, you'll have to customize it so heavily, or it just won't meet your business needs. And there's things I think that come out as obvious solutions, like timekeeping. So how many other businesses track hours for their employees? Almost all of them. So
Yeah.
that's probably something that, barring something really out of the blue on your requirements, you should probably buy that.
Right.
There's a better team that's probably built that's spent hundreds of developer hours on it, that have handled scale and logging and consoles and things that I think you forget about if you're building custom software that someone's already done.
Yeah. Really important point. You and I have talked about this before. If you decide to build something, that is to code it yourself, congratulations, you're some level a software company.
Right.
So you've got to keep up with those updates, and you've got to do all the code to keep it current. And if there are regulations, or if there's, your server is aging out, and you've got to move it, that's all on you.
Mm-hmm.
Which again might be the right choice in some cases. And I think you said it very well. If you have a very unique business process that you can't find something to do on the open market, you might either need to build from scratch or modify, customize software you buy.
Right.
Here's the problem. All companies think all of their processes are unique only to them, and you couldn't possibly understand why we have to do accounts payable this certain way.
Right.
And I said accounts payable because for the most part, it's invoices and payments via various channels or terms, and there are different things there. But
right.
So part of my job as a fractional CIO is sort of myth busting sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I know you think that's unique to you, but first of all, I question why you're doing it that way instead of adapting to
Right.
software. And this is a real key point. So let's keep going. When you buy software, when you say, fine, I did find a solution that meets some large percentage of my requirements. I don't think I'll have to customize it too much. I'm going to buy. Whether you know it or not, you're also saying this, fine, we'll do it your way.
Yep.
Whatever business process we're going to house in that purchased application, we're going to, for the most part, adapt our business ways to your coded solution. And
Right.
there's a big problem sometimes.
And I think that sometimes you might find, like, again, I'm an advocate for building, but sometimes you might find that decision actually is doubly helpful, because I find a lot of times if it's hard, you're doing it wrong. And in IT and in other places, and like if you're really struggling with your process and you can't get commercial software to do it, maybe you need to look at your process, and that maybe the way these commercial vendors have done it and are doing it for other large entities is fine.
Yeah.
And will make your life easier.
Yeah. Yeah. So you need to be aware of that. You're saying, and because you're going to have people in your organization that say, we can't possibly change our process. I've been doing it this way for 20 years.
Right.
And as a leader, business leader, or as an IT leader, that lots of other companies are doing this on this platform and it's working. And we don't need to customize it. We don't need to make this sort of the grouchy, curmudgeonly person who doesn't want to change, customize just for no good reason.
Right.
Yeah. What, I don't know if you can talk generically, like what are some vaguely specific, use cases where, like, there are lots of companies that buy an ERP. Most do. Most don't write their own ERP, but then they might build, to be adjacent to that, I guess, and to also adapt to some of their unique requirements.
Yeah. I mean, I think a good way to think about it is first of all, think about different developers are good at different things. So the developers at, let's see, Amazon or a very large software corporation or SAP, what do they deal with? They deal with a lot of scale. Like you said, they deal with a lot of legal requirements. The problems they're used to solving, they're not specific to your business, but they're specific to writing really good, robust software. So does your problem look like that kind of thing? Or does it look like something where I think in-house developers or consultants, which is what I do, we're good at understanding your unique business requirements, what makes your business tick, what makes it different, and writing software that is tailored to that. So we'll spend a lot of time on getting the rules right, getting it to work for your business and for your specific needs. We probably won't build, and just for budget reasons, the robust logging you might have on a custom off-the-shelf software. We probably won't have the monitoring. Like, I've worked for commercial software vendors, the amount of monitoring that they do in command centers they have to watch for outages and make sure servers aren't down and alerting is tremendous. So they spend a lot of time solving those kinds of problems. We spend a lot of time making it fit your business, right?
Right.
So I think your developer is different. And so I think part of what you can look at as a leader is just looking at your business. What makes your business unique? So if you manufacture widgets and your secret sauce is the way you manufacture widgets is a little different, that's probably the touch point where your software is probably going to need to be different too. The the way you pay bills isn't different. The way you pay employees isn't different. So that's why people have ERPs and do payables that way, and they use HR solutions that are off the shelf. But yeah, maybe inside your warehouse, you've got some secret sauce that you need to do, or the way you interact with customers is unique. So that's probably where think about what makes you unique. That's where your software should be unique.
Yeah, I agree with that, with this addendum. And then keep asking yourself if it's real or if it's imagined.
Yep.
And refine that list of what you think is truly unique about you. And talk to other voices, people who've been in other industries or adjacent industries or from that, and say like, no, that's, we don't have to do it that way. And then when you do end up with that very small list, build to solve that problem.
Yep.
But don't assume everyone thinks that they think is unique, is that way. So I'm a lean. I always go look out to the market first to buy. Can I buy this? And I sort of like tell people if it's the 80% solution, you can buy it, you should go with it.
Right.
If it won't cripple your business because of that 20% that's critical. We've done projects together where we've taken purchase software, buy, and we've worked together on projects to build to make it better. And so I want to talk about really quickly what I think the worst of both worlds is specifically in the ERP space, where you buy an ERP and then you've mentioned this, customize it internally heavily. We're going to talk in a minute about inside development versus outside development. Inside meaning I coded in the ERP's language within the ERP to solve a problem versus I coded outside of the ERP without touching the ERP code to solve it. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I will tell you my philosophy as an IT leader at my last several companies was we didn't have any ERP coders. By the way, ERPs always have a proprietary language.
Right.
They're not using the commonly available developing languages that you'd use for a generic app off the shelf. They're proprietary. So good luck finding one. But I never had internally on payroll ERP developers specifically. And I knew lots of companies that did, and they probably had really good reasons for it. The reason I didn't was one, I wanted to hold a hard line against modifying the ERP unless we absolutely had to. And the minute you have a full-time ERP coder, coders want to code.
Right.
To a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And if you ask them, should we buy or build? It's going to be build. And I didn't want that. So we did occasionally to modify the ERP lightly. We would go rent companies like you do. Like you're a consultant.
Yep.
But I didn't want to have any in-house development because I didn't want ERP development to be common. So that's one way. But when we did need to modify it, we tried to do what we call outside development. We can talk about that project. There was a factory collecting data. There was an ERP that needed that data to know what happened in the factory. And for a couple of years, there was a clipboard that moved, or an Excel spreadsheet that was emailed to someone from factory to office. They were just keying in stuff. And let's just talk briefly about like how we automated that, did an integration, but did it outside the ERP.
Yeah. So we were able to build a solution that's in a commodity programming language in .NET, where you've got lots of support, lots of help if you have a problem, lots of resources you can pull in to make it work, both people and code libraries when you need that, and making that read the factory data and using the ERP's API. So they have an interface that you can interact with from outside the ERP, and it's limited. You can't do whatever you want, but you can process certain transactions that way. So we sort of use that as our integration point, where that software would be fine with a different ERP behind it if it needed it, or if the ERP changed, as long as that interface changed, which those are typically a lot more stable. This application did need to change, or the change was very light.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read that back for clarity. So instead of building an integration app inside the ERP, we built it on its own server outside the ERP. It only talked to the ERP through API calls, and we didn't modify anything on the ERP, but built the app outside to send data back and forth. And you could have done either way. You could have done it inside or outside. and for all those reasons you mentioned, we did it outside. It gave us, we could add a second ERP. You could change the ERP. You could
upgrade the ERP, and it's not a high risk movement.
Zero impact on it. And that's not always possible. Sometimes you do have to modify the ERP, I hope lightly and not heavily. So it's never, but it should be very cautious because of, like you said, upgrades, and don't accidentally become a software company when you don't, when your expertise is not being if you're not an app developer, don't become a corporate entity that's buying and selling things and also has a software company.
Software division.
Exactly.
And if you do understand that software needs to be such an asset to you that it's worth it, that we have this custom software and it's important to us and it makes us better than everybody else, and it's an asset, because when those bills come, you don't want to look at that as a liability. You want to know this is part of our secret sauce that makes us successful. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Awesome. So build versus buy. Should I go buy a solution? Should I custom develop it? It's going to be forever debate and decision making, and you'll be buying and you'll be building. And if you do it smart, you won't end up with a spaghetti mess that's unmanageable and keeps you from upgrading your systems, and you have fragility in your system, you have resiliency and things like that. And so work with trusted partners, both on the buy side, buy from good, reliable, enterprise grade vendors if you can, engage enterprise architects and developers who are good listeners and adapt to your business as well. And then have IT leadership that guides the architecture. We didn't mention that word, but at architecture. I haven't done much at mentioning, so I'm just going to make that one up. At architecture. Hey, at Ryan Reynolds. Love to talk to you about at architecture sometime.
On hashtag architecture. We need to get the whole community.
Sorry. Yeah. Hashtag architecture. Why didn't I think of that? Yeah. Awesome. Okay, that's the big idea. You need guidance on some of these things. You can end up with a mess if you go too heavy one way or the other, or if you don't have an architecture that makes sure they all fit and work together.
If you do it the wrong way or in the wrong place.
Yeah, and too much of it in the wrong place, nightmare. Yeah, a lot of nightmares out there. So, all right, that's the big idea, which brings us to the wrap-up and where we talk about what we learned today. What did you learn, Darrick?
Well, I learned that David, I still an asterisk in my mind, is very close to Ryan Reynolds, at least for a 7-day trial period.
I'm not feeling the trust. Maybe we should do a trust fall sometime on the podcast.
Yeah.
Rebuild trust.
And I trust you in a lot of respects. I'm not trusting this Ryan Reynolds relationship, but
please at Ryan Reynolds. We're trying to get his attention.
Me when you're at your box seats at the soccer game, and
I'm going to send you pictures from his house at Christmas, just for the record, or holidays. I don't know if it's Christmas, holidays.
Yeah. I will eat crow when I see that.
I already knew that Darrick was a world-class architect and developer, but I'm just more convinced now that, like, if I needed someone to build me something, I would call Darrick, like I've done many times in my career. But I also learned that Darrick wears one specific hat. Darrick only wears New Era 3930. You're like peeling an onion, dude. Like, you've got a list. We've known each other for years, and this is the first time I've known this.
It was liberating to find out what number it was, because I knew sometimes I liked hats and sometimes I didn't, and I figured it out.
And now for the rest of your life, 3930s.
Yep.
It's, when you get those answers, that's good. That's awesome.
And my son, it's New Era 5950 because he's young and he likes the flat bill hat. So,
but maybe he can aspire to 3930 someday when he grows up to be like his dad.
Yeah, maybe when you're a grown up, you'll appreciate the curved bill and.
Oh yeah, because he's got 5950's flat.
Flat. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of hats, remember, if golden Oreos and regular Oreos can live together in perfect harmony on my hat, why oh why can't we? That's probably too deep to leave the podcast on, but I'm going to do it anyway. Signing out, over and out, at Ryan Reynolds. We'll see you guys next time on the last IT podcast in the world.
Have a good one.